Dr. Biden, do you support the pardon of Hunter?
First Lady Jill Biden breaking her silence, saying that she supports what some are calling the most sweeping pardon since Richard Nixon. President Biden issuing a blanket pardon for his son Hunter. It covers a decade-long period where Hunter had been convicted of tax and gun crimes, as well as other offenses that haven't even been adjudicated yet. The president argues that Hunter got a raw deal and singled out because he's his son. Biden even portrayed it as an act of honesty, saying this: "For my entire career, I have followed a simple principle. Just tell the American people the truth." But many feel that just smacks in the face of reality and these repeated denials President Biden gave to the media.
Jury decision, I will do that, and I will not pardon him.
Will you accept the jury's outcome, their verdict, no matter what it is?
Yes.
And have you ruled out a pardon for your son?
Yes.
And now it looks like someone's not getting their story straight. So that last clip we showed you of President Biden was from June. And then this, according to NBC News, June is when Joe Biden was discussing the Hunter pardon with his aides, some of who decided at the time that he would publicly say he would not pardon his son, even though doing so remained on the table. However, just today, Karine Jean-Pierre said that was a recent development. Watch.
He said he came to this decision this weekend, and he said he wrestled with this, and because he believes in the justice system, but he also believes that the war politics infected the process and led to a miscarriage of justice.
He's saying his own Justice Department is broken, Karine.
He believes in the Justice Department.
He just said it's infected with politics.
I said I would not interfere with the Justice Department's decision making.
Well, how deep is the rot? How many selective prosecutions are there at the DOJ?
What I can speak to is this particular case.
I'm not going to subject you to this other thing unless we need it, about how Karine Jean-Pierre said a million times from the podium that he would not do the pardon. But that is what happened. So we're going to take it on the table here. Judge, let's start with you. The one thing about this pardon is how sweeping it is.
Oh, yeah.
Like a whole 11 years, like anything that he did within that time frame.
Did you notice that?
I certainly did.
You know, and some of those years encompass the years that David Weiss, as a so-called special counsel now, I think he is, allowed the statute of limitations to run in the highest earning years that Hunter Biden had, and the years that certainly involved his father and his business dealings. Look, they've done everything they can to try to cover up what they did. They have denied, they have lied. Joe Biden started out this presidency by saying, yeah, I know nothing about my son's businesses, and he's ending his presidency by lying again and pardoning his son. The bottom line here is that they're afraid of something. They're afraid of the Trump Justice Department being weaponized and going after Hunter for things that David Weiss did not indict him for. And, you know, only Donald Trump can speak to that issue. But let me just say a couple things, Dana, and I'll be very quick here. Look, they knew that jail time was coming for Hunter Biden. He's convicted of 2 felonies, not 1, 2. And if Joe Biden says there's no reasonable prosecutor who would look at these facts and reach the same conclusion, he was singled out because of my son. Well, if he was singled out because he was your son, why didn't you fire Merrick Garland? If the Justice Department is so selective in their prosecutions, fire the guy that you hired, okay? Let's talk about the fact that he's always said that no one is above the law. Hunter Biden is a classic example of someone who's above the law because he was never even sentenced. Most of the pardons that we hear about are pardons where someone has served their time, they paid their debt to society, and they're going to end up, you know, getting it removed. It's an impediment going forward. Not this case. We won't even know what his sentence would have been. And then for him to call out the media and selective prosecution is absurd. A jury found him guilty. Are you saying that you don't believe in the jury system anymore, Mr. President? And by the way, is your son stupid? He pled guilty to 6 tax evasion counts. So if that's selective prosecution, why didn't he take it to trial and say, this is a selective prosecution? So look, it's all about Joe Biden lying. He's starting and ending his presidency in the same way.
And Charlemagne the God said this today, Jessica, if we had played that for everyone.
I just want Democrats to stop acting like they are on this moral high ground politically when they have shown us they're not, whether it's skipping the primary process when Biden stepped down and things like Biden pardoning his son. Stop acting like y'all the pure party and Republicans aren't.
All right, Jessica, there's mixed reaction from the left on this. Where do you sit?
Yeah, there is. And I think that a lot of people are doing political jockeying, right? Like if I'm thinking about running in the future, I want to be on record as saying this is an abuse of power. And maybe we should have a larger conversation about presidential pardons because it seems like they're perhaps too sweeping and that on your way out, you can just about do anything. I think that for a lot of rank and file Democrats, they actually would rather see Joe Biden do this because this feels like Mitch McConnell vibes, someone who's like, we're not going to see Merrick Garland before Donald Trump comes into office, and I'm going to make sure that Supreme Court seat is open. It has more backbone than they're used to seeing from Joe Biden. He should have always said maybe, though, about this. It was, and I said, you guys asked me, well, do you believe him? And I said, I have no reason not to believe him, but you would think that any parent would be thinking in the back of their mind, I don't want my kid to go to jail. And if it's true what Karine Jean-Pierre said about the timing of this, I'm sure that this weekend the news rolled in that Charles Kushner is going to be the ambassador to France, a very cushy job, someone who was pardoned for what Chris Christie, who prosecuted him, called one of the most loathsome and disgusting crimes. I mean, the guy videotaped.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but the juxtaposition
well, he
of
served
that,
time, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, he served
did.
time.
Okay.
Kushner did. He paid his debt to society.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
And the NBC News report, Jessica, says that this is NBC News saying that Biden was saying publicly, of course I'm not going to pardon him,
while he was
privately having conversations saying, of course it's on the table. And this is why no one believed him anyway. Now all the lies come. I had the 4 lies, I'm going to add the 5th lie. And this is the one.
I don't disagree with it. He should have just always said, maybe, I don't know. I have to see where the chips fall on this. But one of the messages that came out of the election was that voters don't think Donald Trump is a unique threat to democracy. They don't care about norms or any of the things that Democrats were campaigning on. And I think that Joe Biden just essentially said, on my way out, I don't care anymore, and I'm just going to protect my kid.
Okay. I'm not sure I'm buying all of that, but I want to hear what you think.
I'd protect
Jesse?
my kid if Jesse Jr. did something bad.
But you
I'd
probably
pardon
wouldn't
him.
let him be on the board of Burisma and send you a check for $300.
Probably not.
You wouldn't
I
be your
wouldn't.
bag man.
I
Jesse
wouldn't
would
need the
definitely
money.
let him do that.
I wouldn't need the money like Joe Biden's family, who couldn't make an honest buck.
It's prime time.
Maybe my mom wouldn't pardon me, but I'm sure my father would. But that's the point: is that everybody knew he was going to pardon his son. Right. Even Jessica knew. Well, you didn't expect Joe Biden to lie? The man's lied his whole career, Jessica. Politicians lie. I mean, Democrats are now trying to wrap their heads around the fact that we're like, well, maybe we're not the party of moral superiority. Maybe we're not the party of Democrat ideals and principles. How many lies can you guys take? They lied about the laptop, the lab leak, the coup, now the pardon. Even Democrats are saying, I don't feel so great about these guys saying that they're the party of principle anymore. This guy and all the rest of these politicians prove time and time again, they're just like the regular, sleazy, scummy, corrupt politicians. They'll do anything.
So they're just like Trump.
They'll do anything. All politicians lie to protect their families, to protect their power, protect their money, Jessica. And anybody with a brain could see this coming a mile away. The difference is Trump wouldn't have lied about it. Trump comes in and Trump's like, yeah, I'm going to pardon J6ers. I'm going to fire the FBI director, and I'm going to recess appoint my cabinet if the Senate gives me trouble. And you know what? He probably will. And people respect that. We want people that keep promises, not people who break promises. And this just proves the entire term was a cover-up. As the judge said, a blanket pardon to 14? Oh, just when the portfolio for Ukraine got handed to the big guy? What's that about, Jessica? Why would he need to go back that far? Think about it. This whole setup that they had was a big money laundering scheme. He'd go around the world, sell access to his dad, and then the FBI and the CIA would look to see who was trying to scam the U.S. government. And then ever notice that everybody around Hunter Biden is either in prison or on federal wiretaps? This whole thing was an intelligence operation.
When Jared Moskowitz asked James Comer, he said, I'll do it. let's impeach Joe Biden. And James Comer flipped out, and no Republicans wanted to go on record about impeaching him because they didn't have it.
Donald Trump got impeached for looking into what Joe just pardoned his son for.
Yeah, but
you guys said it's okay for foreign nationals to bribe a first family?
Yeah, but how
and
many
as long as it doesn't hit the
politicians-
guy's checking account, and then a check hits the checking account, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
There's no
Let's get Charlie in. You've been in D.C. for a while. I've seen a lot of things. On the scale of 1 to 10, like with 10 being the most brazen, how brazen was this?
Well, it's pretty brazen, but I agree that we all knew this was going to happen. And it's not surprising that Joe Biden would be lying. He has lied throughout his entire career. Before Barack Obama plucked him out of obscurity, he was known almost exclusively for his failure at campaigns because he lied about absolutely everything. So all of that's not really a surprise. Right. I think what's kind of interesting is the Democrat reaction to it. I think the fact that they are kind of freaking out has a lot to do with the fact that it's like Joe Biden rolled another grenade into the Democrat Party as he's being forced off the stage by confirming basically what Donald Trump's entire campaign is, which is that the Department of Justice is filled with corruption and that there are all these political persecutions going on. And now, I mean, if you read his statement and just take out the sort of absurd things he says about Hunter Biden being persecuted, it sounds like a statement that Donald Trump would have made. Yeah. The truth is, Hunter Biden is the most privileged criminal in Washington. He's gotten every advantage. And so when he talks about a political persecution, it's not in the way that he thinks. The last thing I think is kind of interesting is that usually politicians wait until January 20th to drop their controversial pardons. He's doing it now. So my question is, who is he going to pardon on January 20th? Is he going to pardon his brother? Is he going to pardon himself? This pardon is so extraordinary because of the length, but also because it was a prospective pardon. It pardoned Hunter all the way to midnight. Yeah. So it pardoned him into the future, which is a great thing to have. Is he going to pardon himself into the future when he walks out the door? I would bet money that Joe Biden pardons himself before he leaves
Pick your
office.
own pardon adventure.
Yeah.
Biden style. All right.
Think of the things you could do. It's like a Dr. Seuss book.
Exactly.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.